Your morning is the moment you secretly hand the entire day its instructions. Before the emails, before the coffee, before the to-do list you'll feel guilty about by noon. Something quieter already decided how all of it would go. You wake up as a frequency, and that frequency walks into every room ahead of you. By the end of this, you'll understand why the order of your morning has been backwards your whole life. Most people open their eyes and immediately reach for the controls. Calendar, tasks, the grim arithmetic of how much they have to get done. They optimize the doing and ignore the doer, and the doer is the thing that colors every single act that follows. Think about the last time you woke up already tense. The day didn't have a chance. You answered messages with a clipped edge in your voice. You read neutral words and heard hostility in them. Same inbox, same tasks, same hours. The events were ordinary. The lens was cracked. So here's the question almost nobody asks themselves at 6 in the morning. What state am I broadcasting before I've done anything at all? The law of assumption sits underneath everything the old teachers tried to tell us. Neville Goddard said it plainly. Assumptions harden into fact. Whatever you assume yourself to be, consciously or by sleepy default, becomes the soil that every experience grows out of. You don't act your way into a feeling, you feel your way into a way of acting. That's the part the productivity gurus keep missing. They treat the morning like an assembly line for output. Wake at 5, cold plunge, journal 3 pages. Stack the wins early. There's real discipline in that, and discipline matters. But you can complete every item on that list and still drag a heavy, anxious self through all of it. The checklist gets done. The doer stays poisoned. State comes first because state is the cause. Action is the echo. Imagine 2 versions of you, both writing the same important message at 8 in the morning. One of you writes it from a settled, abundant feeling, certain the relationship is solid. The other writes it from scarcity, braced for rejection, hunting for the rejection in advance. Same keyboard. The words land differently because the hand behind them carries a different charge. The receiver feels it. You feel it. Reality bends toward the assumption you wrote from. This is why 2 people can run identical routines and live completely different days. Consider what your morning state actually does to the hours downstream of it. It sets your interpretation. Every event that arrives is neutral until you assign it a meaning, and the meaning you assign comes preloaded by the state you woke into. A delayed reply means abandonment to the anxious self, and means nothing at all to the settled one. Same text on the screen. 2 entirely different afternoons branching out from it. You aren't reacting to your day, you're reacting to the frequency you brought to meet it. And the frequency compounds. A morning of low, braced tension makes you snap at one person, which sours the next exchange, which confirms the original gloom you woke up carrying. The state doesn't just color one moment, it builds a self-reinforcing loop that spends the whole day proving itself right. By evening, you have a stack of evidence that the world is hostile, and every brick in that stack was laid by an assumption you made before sunrise. Goddard had a phrase for the inner discipline this demands. He called it the mental diet. You watch what you consume internally, the way a careful person watches what they eat. Not for an hour, all day. And it begins in those first foggy minutes, when the mind is most suggestible, when even the frequencies you hear carry more weight. A 432 Hz track playing low in the room, a tune retunes any song to that pitch. Link in the description, becomes part of the soil before the day's noise rushes in to drown out your choosing. But knowing this and living it are separated by a wide, uncomfortable gap. Here's where the doubt creeps in. You might be thinking, I can't just decide to feel abundant when my bank account says otherwise. When the deadline is real, when the body woke up tired and the news is leaking dread through the walls, isn't choosing a state just pretending? Isn't that spiritual makeup over a real wound? That objection deserves respect because the cheap version of this teaching really is just denial in a nicer outfit. Slapping a forced smile over panic changes nothing. The feeling underneath leaks through, and your subconscious believes the leak, never the smile. The real practice is harder and quieter than positive thinking. You acknowledge the tired body and the thin account as facts, then refuse to let the fact dictate your assumption. A fact is what is. An assumption is what you're becoming. Those are different rooms, and you get to choose which one you live in this morning. That choosing is work, genuine, repeatable, sometimes exhausting inner work. So, How do you actually set a state instead of just wishing for one? You enter the feeling before the evidence arrives. Goddard called it living in the end. You occupy the version of you who already has the thing, and you ask a single shameless question: how would I feel right now if it were already done? Then you stay there, long enough that your body forgets it was pretending, long enough that the relief becomes the baseline instead of the fantasy. Feel the difference in your own chest right now. Recall a morning you woke up genuinely excited. A trip, a reunion, the first day of something you wanted. Your shoulders sat lower. Strangers seemed kinder. Problems shrank to their actual size. You were more capable that day because you moved through it from a different state, and the state did the heavy lifting. That morning was a frequency you can learn to set on purpose. The Hermetic teachers wrapped the same truth in older language. As within, so without. The outer world arranges itself to match the inner tone, the way iron filings snap into the shape of a magnet you cannot see. Your morning state is the magnet. Every event of the day is a filing finding its place around it, which reframes the whole reason we wake up early. The point of rising before the world is to claim the one window where you set the field before anything else gets to vote. Now watch what happens to your productivity when you flip the order. You're handing the doing a better master. Action that flows from a settled state moves clean. Decisions sharpen. The right priority becomes obvious instead of agonized over. You stop spending the first 3 hours fighting your own resistance because the resistance was a symptom of the state, and you changed the state at the root. A task done from peace and the same task done from panic are two different tasks. One builds you, the other drains you while producing nearly identical output on paper. There's a strange mercy in this. It means you were never as far from a good day as you felt. The thing standing between you and ease was a tone set in a few unguarded minutes, and a tone can be changed by the same hand that set it. You don't have to fix your circumstances before breakfast to feel different. You change the state, and the circumstances start answering to it. Watch a baby wake up, and you'll see the original setting. Before life taught us to reach for dread first, they surface into the world expecting it to be safe and warm, and most of the time it arranges itself to oblige. Somewhere along the way we traded that expectancy for a defensive crouch and called the crouch realism. The crouch isn't more accurate, it's just more practiced. This is the quiet revolution hiding in plain sight. Everyone is optimizing the visible layer, the schedule, the apps, the cold water, the timers. Almost nobody tends the invisible layer that determines whether any of it lands. You can own the perfect system, carry a contaminated state, and wonder why the perfect system feels like dragging a plow. So tomorrow morning, before your hand finds the phone, try the thing that feels almost too simple to matter. Lie still for 2 minutes. Decide who you're being today, deliberately, the way you choose what to wear. Not what you'll do, who you'll be while doing it. Assume the feeling of the version of you who already holds the thing you're reaching for. Confident, provided for, at ease in your own skin. Let that assumption settle until it stops feeling like costume and starts feeling like home. You'll notice resistance immediately. The mind will offer 100 reasons the feeling isn't earned yet. That's the old assumption fighting to stay in charge, because it has been running your mornings for years and it surrenders the throne slowly. Persistence is the whole game. You return to the chosen state every time you catch yourself drifting back to the default one. Morning after morning, the new state wins more of the territory. This is why the mental diet is a diet, and not a single heroic meal. One inspired morning leaves most of a lifetime's bracing intact. The assumption hardens into fact through repetition, through the unglamorous discipline of choosing the same inner tone again and again until your whole body stops arguing and simply agrees. And here is the part that should sit with you. The state you set tomorrow morning is already deciding the texture of a moment you can't yet see. The conversation at 2, the setback at 4, the way you'll speak to the person you love when you're tired at 9. All of it inherits the frequency you chose in the dark before the day began. You've been so busy managing what you do that you forgot you were the one setting the weather you do it in. The better version of your day was waiting in a better state, available the instant you stop treating your morning as a launch pad for tasks and start treating it as the place where you tune the instrument that plays the entire day. So wake up tomorrow and reach for the dial before you reach for the list. Set the tone first, then let the day come and find you already humming.